It's honestly the truth. As you say, Mr.Brass, why do socialists who advocate for government healthcare in US pretend Veterans Affairs and Indian Health Services doesn't exist? Well, I couldn't really tell you much about the Indian Health Services and stuff like that, but of course they would do they would do that. They always they're very picky of the type of information they choose to take on. You know, it was just like this argument I had recently. You know, they choose to ignore the fact that government creates a problem, and they want to try and conflate true private ownership with the type of private sector you've got today, and they pretend that government's intervention is not causing an issue. So then I asked them the question, why then, in the absence of government subsidies, were private companies in the 19th century efficient, yet those who took on government subsidies, hundreds of companies, were all going bankrupt? Again, silence, no answer to that question. Because it's like you say there, they just want to pretend that doesn't exist. That's really all what it boils down to. Comes from the veterans and the Native Americans and VA and IHS. I'm not sure. Is that Virginia? And I'm not entirely sure. Shows government doesn't do healthcare good. Yeah, never does, mate. Never does. It's always very harmful. The government doesn't know what the best interest for the people are. And plus the fact that price controls cause damage. As you say, men pay more taxes than women on average. Biologically live shorter lives on average. Tax-funded healthcare rips them off. Yeah, just in people in general, it doesn't matter, men or women. They would be collectively better off as individuals having free market healthcare. I mean, one of the examples that I can obviously give of the direct primary care model in the United States, which is the free market model, and I know a lot of Americans are not aware of it, but direct primary care that's based on the flat monthly rate fee that they pay, and I think the average American adult is paying like $50 a month, and it covers more than 80% of their healthcare needs and wants. I think in fact it's about 80% of the health insurance was removed. So the remaining 20% is used for the more serious needs. But in terms of the majority of their healthcare needs and wants, it's all met by that flat monthly base rate fee. So kids are charged about $10 and adults about $50 odd, and it covers the majority of their healthcare needs and wants and whatever. Just like how people pay for a gym membership. But the key thing that I picked up about direct primary care is the fact that doctors can spend more time per patient, up to an hour or even longer than an hour with a patient, simply because they're able to free their time up. And the reason why they're able to free their time up is because they're not having to go through all the government papers, number one. So all the license stuff and everything else, all the red tape and whatnot. I don't think they have to go through all of that issue, if I remember what was spoken about. The other reason is because they are able to see through most of their patients through electronic communication, so they don't have to actually see the patients there and then. It's not like the NHS where they say, well, here's a doctor's appointment, you need to wait 62 weeks. I laugh at that, but there's sad truth to that. Here in Britain, you're left on a long waiting line, waiting weeks, sometimes months for a doctor's appointment. Well, in the direct primary care model, the free market model, they can just say, well, okay, they'll just see their patient through electronic communication. So in other words, either the phone, Facebook, Skype, things like what I'm using right now, all these type of things, social media, or email, all of that type of communication, they can spend one-on-one with the patient. But if it's absolute necessary, the patient can see them in person. And that's the difference. Because they're able to see through a lot of people through electronic communication, they can free up their time to see them one-to-one, those with, more urgent needs. And that's something that, could be done here. Now, obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of how things are here at the moment, but there's a lot of inefficiency. You can up the quality of healthcare just by doing things like that, what the free market model does, and that's exactly the point. People are getting ripped off at the current time, especially that main American healthcare market that's corporatist. It's precisely that.